Hello, people. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on the recent fight between the boxers Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan King Garcia. So I'm a fan of boxing, if you guys don't know, and so I was really looking forward to this fight. One thing that's unfortunate about boxing is that a lot of times you don't get to see the best fight the best like you do in the UFC or other sports. You know, when it comes to boxing, there's a lot of like politics, and nowadays, I'm not saying this is entirely new, but there's this big thing where it's like you find a fighter who has some talent and marketability, and you give him some easy fights, stat pad his record, pad his record so that he's like 15-0, 20-0, 25-0, and kind of protect him from the other fighters who are on his level who could potentially take that away from him, because there's a lot of drawing power when it comes to being an undefeated fighter and a champion. And so nowadays it's like, fighters and their teams, they try to get the most out of the time period where they're going to be undefeated and a champion or whatnot. So the fact that Tank and Ryan fought each other was a big deal within the boxing community, because a lot of the big fights just aren't happening. And when I say big fights, I mean like the best fighting the best. I know like the big one that's not happening is like Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. That's the one that everybody wants, that's just not happening. And those guys are getting up in age now. Like they're on the tail ends of their prime according to their age. And this goes back to like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, and how people wanted that for years and years, and then when it finally happened, it was too late. And so the beauty of Tank versus Ryan was that now you have two popular elite fighters fighting each other in like the middle of their prime. They're both still in their 20s. They were both undefeated and at the very popular and famous, and everybody has their eyes on them. So this is a big event in the world of boxing. And so the fight happened Saturday night, I believe. So it was about a day ago. And I watched the fight, and the first thing that stood out to me was when Tank came out. He came out with Chief Keef. He came out with Chief Keef, and they were playing Love Sosa. When I saw that, like, that got me so hyped. I mean, the atmosphere of the arena was already crazy. At least what I could see through the goddamn internet. The atmosphere was just insane. But when Tank came out to Love Sosa with Chief Keef, and he had his team with him, I mean, it was a whole different thing. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of rooting for Ryan going into the fight, because I didn't like how Tank had disrespected Bernard Hopkins during like one of the press conferences. I was like, man, Ryan beat this guy. but when it was time for them to come in, and Ryan came in to like that lame ass girl singing song, and then Tank came in, Love Sosa. I was right back on Team GTD. I was like, you about to beat this boy ass. Another thing that stood out before the fight even began was that Mayweather was in Tank's corner. I thought that was cool, because if you don't know, Mayweather was Tank's promoter. He was like pretty much one of the head guys on his team for a while. But there were some issues between the two of them, and Tank ended up going his own way from Mayweather. But the fact that Mayweather was in the ring still showing support for him in the biggest fight of his career, I just thought that was a very nice thing to see. To see that despite the fact that, one of the top fighters under Mayweather's promotion company pretty much left him, yet he was still supporting him and in his corner. I just thought that was really beautiful. But on to the fight, right? So the fight begins, and I remember in the first round, you know, it's a typically when you have two elite fighters fighting each other, the first round is going to be a fill out round, and that's exactly what it is. And Tank, despite his reputation as like a destroyer, knockout artist, he's actually a slow starter when it comes to fighting. It kind of reminiscent of Joe Frazier, not necessarily in terms of style, but Joe Frazier was similar in that he would often lose the first 2 or 3 rounds, but it was like he would just get stronger with each round and never seem to run out of gas. And that's something that Tank has in common with him, is that he starts off slow, but he just gets better and better with each round. And so Ryan, in the eyes of most people, won that first round because Ryan, he was more active with the jab. He didn't do anything necessarily like punishing or destructive towards Tank. It didn't hurt him in the first round, but he was more active with the jab. And that's why most people, even myself, saw that he got the first round. And so, you know, when I saw that, I was excited because I was a little worried that maybe Ryan wasn't on his level. And I'm more of a fan of Tank. I've been watching him since the Leo Santa Cruz fight, or I forgot the guy's name. I think that's his name, but the one he knocked out, the Mexican he knocked out with the uppercut. Ever since then, I've been watching every one of his fights. But Ryan, I kind of just caught up to his, you know, his wave recently and went back and watched some of his fights to kind of just, you know, get myself hyped up for this fight. But I saw that Ryan looked good. He looked confident. He looked like he belonged in that first round. So I was like, okay, we got to fight here. But I wasn't too worried because I know Tank is a slow starter. So I was like, okay, yeah, of course Ryan's going to win that. So the second round comes. Ryan comes out swinging I forgot, maybe it was like 15, 20 seconds in, he just starts swinging. He's like out of nowhere, and the crowd goes crazy. And I'm like, yo! And this was a very important moment in the fight because I remember thinking to myself, like, yo, if Ryan is who he thinks he is, this moment is going to embarrass Tank. And yet, it was the opposite that happened. So Ryan was just throwing hands, swinging for the fences, and then Tank counters him clean with a hard punch and knocks Ryan down. Now, Ryan got back up pretty quickly. To his credit, he got up pretty quickly. But I think that moment says so much. It says so much because I've seen different people comment on the meaning of that moment where he gets caught. And I think somebody said it was a moment of inexperience and immaturity. Just the way he went at Tank like that. Like, out of all the guys Tank ever beat, nobody ever just, for the most part, ever jumped the gun that early on him and just tried to pretty much get him out. Except Rolly was one of the few guys that was able to effectively turn up the aggression without getting knocked out early. He got knocked out later, but he was able to turn up the aggression, and Tank wasn't able to just knock him down with a quick counter like that. Ryan looked very bad at amateurish in that moment because it's like maybe the first round, because he had to feel that he won the first round, and maybe it was a matter of strategy. Maybe he thought I'll try to get him out early. Maybe he got overconfident. I don't know, but he got knocked down in that second round, and it was. I heard some people say like it's sapped his confidence. You never know because we're not in his body. We're not in his mind. I thought that he responded to the knockdown well, but it did look like he, for the most part, he didn't go for that level of aggression again throughout most of the fight, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he got knocked down in the second round, and so that was pretty much a 10-8 round for Tank. I've seen some people score at 10-9 because Tank wasn't very active throughout the round, but generally speaking, they'll be considered a 10-8 round for Tank. And so the rounds 3, 4, and 5 were, in my mind, I scored those for Tank because they were all kind of similar rounds. And in those rounds, Ryan wasn't being as aggressive, and Tank was starting to turn it up. Just like I said, he's a slow starter. By the third round, though, he was turning it up. But it wasn't like Tank was just completely dominating him, but you can tell by Tank's body language, like Tank was very relaxed. He was very confident. I'm not gonna say like he wasn't worried about Ryan, but it's like when I read one of the threads on 4chan, somebody said once he started seeing Tank smiling, he knew it was over. And I wouldn't say I saw it like that, but I knew that by his body language and look on his face, Tank's confidence had went up dramatically. Like, I'm sure he was already confident going into the fight, but it's almost like within the first, like after the first two rounds, he was just kind of like, man, this guy really ain't on my level. And that was pretty much the energy of 3, 4, and 5. Just he's not on my level. But again, it wasn't like he was dominating Ryan either. It just like he was. If it was a race to a finish line, it's like Tank would just be like 1 second or a second and a half in front of Ryan in terms of why I scored it for him. Because really those rounds weren't like action packed. It wasn't like they were just hard hits back. It wasn't like that. You know, it was a very strategic, smart fight from both of them. Ryan was being more careful, and Tank is a smart fighter. Again, despite his reputation for being a knockout artist, he's very his defense is definitely elite. His footwork, head movement, feints. I mean, he's really a complete fighter. To be truthful with you. And Ryan is more limited by comparison. But yeah, I would say Tank won 3, 4, 5, 6. Ryan started to do a bit better. I've seen that round scored either way, but I think that was a point where I felt like Ryan was starting to get back into the fight. But I didn't feel good about his chances either because Tank's body language was just telling me like he still wasn't really worried. But in the 7th round, that's when it ended. So in the 7th round, Tank ended up hitting Ryan with a body shot. Now, I was watching the fight closely, and when it happened, I didn't even really see the punch. And when they played the replay, I was like, it didn't look that bad. But when Tank hit him, again, I didn't see the punch connect. I just saw how Ryan reacted. Ryan backed up, and it's like his feet, like his legs was shaky, and his face, you could tell in his face that he was in pain, but he was trying to fake it. So it's like he was trying to fight it, but then he realized that he couldn't, and he took a knee. So he got down on one knee, and typically that's a good strategy for fighters when they know that they're hurt and they need time to rest and they don't want to risk getting knocked out. They'll just take a knee and then get up on the count of 8. That way you can get a rest without taking the risk of getting knocked out or hurt even more. So he took a knee, and it looked bad because by this point Ryan's nose was bleeding, and when he took that knee, it's like he blew out of his. Maybe I saw it wrong, but it looked like he blew out of his nose and the blood like spurted out. So he took a knee. His face was full of pain and anguish, and the blood was gushing out his nose. And when I saw that, I was like, damn, like he looks real bad right now. So the referee counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm like, Ryan, you gotta get up. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then he wasn't getting up. 9, 10, and it wasn't until the referee said 10 that he really started getting up. But by that point, he was still down, technically down. So the referee waved it off, and the Gervonta was declared the winner of the fight yet again. And he was hyped, man. He was so hyped. He looked like he turned red. You know, he already a yellow skinned, light skinned guy. So, but he was hyped, man. Like he was very excited about the victory. But here's the thing though, because there's some interesting aspects to this fight and Ryan losing, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I was excited about this fight. It was a good fight while it lasted, but I was disappointed in the end. And this is why. Because when it comes right down to it, and this is the worst thing about this loss for Ryan, is that Gervonta proved that Ryan was exactly who he said he was which is a TikTok star. The one of the big criticisms and or stigmas that was following Ryan throughout his career was that he was more of a social media influencer than a real elite fighter. Because if you don't know, Ryan has been super popular on like Instagram and TikTok. Even though he hasn't had the same quality of opponents and resume as Tank as some of the other guys in his weight division, he is easily one of the most recognizable, popular ones out of the group. Again, I don't follow Ryan very closely, and I haven't followed him till recently, but I think a lot of it came from the fact that he was like a big star when it was in amateur boxing, and he's young, he's very attractive. He has that same sort of marketable appeal as Oscar De La Hoya had back in his prime, because Oscar kind of got those same criticisms, like, oh, you're a rich pretty boy singer, that and the third. And so Ryan was kind of getting that same sort of criticism. And it's kind of ironic because he's under Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar De La Hoya's boxing promotion company. So that's what's funny about it. Like, some people kind of see Ryan as being like the next coming of Oscar De La Hoya. But the problem is he ain't no Oscar, because Oscar was a pretty boy, but he could really fight. And I'm not saying Ryan can't fight, but the way he looked in that fight, he looked exactly like the person Tank said he was. He looked exactly like the person that the media and the detractors said that he was. He looked like a TikTok star, not a he looked like an elite TikToker, not a real boxer. He looked like he should be fighting Logan Paul or Jake Paul, to just being real with you. He looked like maybe he's like 2 levels above, or 1 or 2 levels above, like a Jake Paul or Logan Paul, one of those like that. I mean, that's the bad thing about it. That's the bad thing about it for Ryan. That's the bad thing about it for boxing, is that this was supposed to be like that big fight that rejuvenates and breathes life into boxing and makes the other elite fighters want to have big fights too. And the atmosphere everything was there, but Ryan didn't show up. He didn't show up. I mean, he showed up literally, but I'm saying he didn't show up in terms of proving that he was on Tank's level. And that's the problem. And see, when I think of fights where the best fought the best, the first fight that comes to my mind is Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns. Now, Sugar Ray Leonard beat Thomas Hearns, and Sugar Ray Leonard was, you could say he was the A-side in that fight. He was the pretty boy, the glitz, the glam, but he was proven. He was proven because he fought Roberto Duran twice, lost the first fight, but still put up a great fight and won the second fight with ease. He beat Wilfred Benitez. He was a proven elite fighter. And Thomas Hearns was like the up and coming like demon of the weight division. But still, like, some people felt like this was going to be like his big test, fighting Sugar Ray Leonard. And Thomas Hearns, he was beating Sugar Ray Leonard's ass. I mean, it was a good fight, but like, he was winning. Thomas Hearns was winning that fight. And even though Thomas Hearns lost, he got knocked out, I think, in the 13th or 14th round. He proved himself that he belonged. Even though he lost, you knew that he belonged in that ring with Sugar Ray Leonard and the best of the best. Period. You knew it, and you knew if they fought again, it could still go. It was that kind of fight. So it was a real fight of the best fighting the best. When Ali fought Frazier, same thing. Ali lost, but you knew it was the best fighting the best. Frazier proved himself. I'm on Ali's level, obviously, because he won, but still. And the unfortunate thing about this fight is that Ryan was exposed. He was maybe he got a different gear. Maybe he got a gear 2 and gear 3 that we don't know about, but he didn't show it. And so people are only going to roll with what they saw. And what I saw was that he was not on Tank's level. And this was a Tank fight 101. Tank gets off to a slow start. Slowly starts, breaking the opponent down, and then he knocks him out. But Ryan was worse because he got knocked down early from getting too antsy and over aggressive. And so that makes him look worse than a lot of the other guys Tank knocked out. And see, here's the problem too. A lot of people are calling Ryan a quitter because he went down off a body shot. Now, I'm not gonna go there. I've seen some people call him a quitter and a coward. I would never call him a coward. Anybody look, he showed up. Anybody that'll step in that ring and fight another man who trains to knock heads off, that's not a coward. But I think that as bad as I don't want to say it, I think that he did give up. I do. I think he did give up. He was overwhelmed. And what I've heard a lot of people say is, oh, you don't know how bad, because they're saying he got hit in the liver. And they're saying, oh, you don't know how bad a liver shot is, and this, that, and the third. To me, that's not an excuse. I've seen a lot of boxing matches. I've heard a lot of stories. And look, Ryan is not the first guy to get hurt in the ring. I get it. It hurt. He got hit in the body and it pinpoint hit the liver like Tank was Kenshiro and went for the pressure points. I got you. I get it. But I've seen too much shit watching boxing. Ryan is not the first guy to get hurt in the ring. Ryan is not the first guy to get hurt in the ring. Like, do you know when Ali fought Frazier for the third time, Frazier's, I think he already had a bad eye that was going blind, and then the other eye was swelling shut. He wanted to still fight, but his corner stopped it. But Frazier never quit. His team stopped the fight, his corner. I heard a story once when Ali was fighting Foreman. Ali won that fight, but I heard a story that Ali said that there was a punch that hit him and he blacked out for a second while he was standing up and then woke back up. And then Evander Holyfield, when he fought Foreman, I heard that he went back to his corner and asked them, did he knock all my teeth out? Because he got hit so hard. But that's what, bruh. I've seen Frazier got knocked down 6 times, but dude, and got back up. I've seen too much. I can't give Ryan the benefit of that. I get it hurts, but Ryan is not the first guy to get hurt in a boxing match. I'm sure there have been guys who fought through way more pain than what he felt. I'm keeping it a buck. That's what boxing is. If you can take it and get what Rocky said, you get hit and get. And I'm not saying it like I would have got back up. I'm just saying that's what, I'm not giving him that excuse that, oh, it hurt so bad that I couldn't. No. The reality is it hurt really bad and you didn't want to get up and potentially get hurt worse. See, that's the difference between certain types of fighters. That's the difference maker. Because like I said, I've seen too much. Out of all the fighters that got knocked down and they were on that knee, however they fell, body shot, head shot, whatever, don't you think there was a part of their mind that thought, if I get up, I'm hurt now, I'm already hurt. If I get up, I might get hurt worse. You think that Dave didn't think that? You think that thought didn't cross their mind? Some of them got up and some of them didn't. But there's a choice in that moment that you make, where you decide this, because that's what they all have to decide. I got knocked the fuck down. I'm hurt bad, but I can choose to stay down or I can choose to get up. Ryan had enough strength to get up, period, because he got up at 10. If he got up at 10, he could have got up at 8. That Tuesday, he was already on the knee. It was like he got knocked out and then got to get back up. He took the knee and then got up at 10, so he could have got up. There was a decision that he made in his mind where he said, I'm so hurt, if I get up, I'm probably gonna get hurt worse. Now, I get it. I'm not trying to attack his character for that. I'm just saying it's levels to this shit. And Ryan is not on that beast mode level. That beast mode, I'm hurt. I might get up and get hurt more, but I'm taking that chance. Andy Ruiz, another Mexican fighter, he fought Anthony Joshua. He commented on it and he basically said that Ryan didn't risk enough. He didn't risk his life enough. Andy got knocked down by Anthony Joshua. Got up, went on to win that fight. You don't think the thought might have crossed his mind, if I get up, I'm gonna get my ass beat? He got up. And I'm sure he was, you don't fall down, you don't get knocked down and not hurt. He was hurt too. And that's all I'm saying. Ryan, I would never say he's a coward. I would never call somebody who was stepping in that ring a coward. But he gave up. He did not want that smoke, period. He didn't want the smoke. Let's just call it what it is. He did not want that smoke because he knew there was a good chance he was about to get fucked up bad. And he didn't take the chance. He stayed down. And that's his choice. That's his choice. But like I said, I'm glad the fight happened. It was a big event for boxing. I enjoyed it as a fan of boxing. But again, my disappointment is in the fact that Ryan was proven to be what people said he would. That's the only thing I hate about it. I wish Ryan would have put on a better performance. To me, it's not about who. I really wasn't too invested in who won or who lost. I was just glad the fight happened. But what I didn't realize was that there was a possibility that, like, look, I already knew Tank was official. I already knew he was. Some people criticize his resume, but I think that he might not fight like the best of the best, but he fights like thoroughbred fighters at the very, like, he's super active. He just had a fight 2 months ago, or like 2 or 3 months ago, before this one. So I knew he was about that, but Ryan was the question mark. And I just think the unfortunate thing about this fight is that we weren't able to come out of it with two superstars. Ryan's stock is going to plummet after this. Not because he lost, but because he didn't put on a good show. It's because people are going to look at him and some are going to say he was a coward. Some people are going to say that he quit. But the fact is, Tank made him look like he didn't belong on that level in the ring with him. And that's going to do a lot of damage to Ryan. In a sense, we lost something with this fight. That's why it's bittersweet. I'm happy for Tank. I'm happy about the event. But unfortunately with Ryan, because he didn't put on a good enough show, because Tank made him look so bad and he made himself look so bad with the amateur mistakes, like rushing in the second round and then giving up when he got knocked down. Basically he's off that pedestal. And I think that's the unfortunate thing about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little discussion about the fight, and I'll be seeing you guys around. Janin.